What's going on, wrestling family? Welcome back to the channel. It is time for me to react to your SmackDown hot takes. Now, if you want to be a part of the next video, hit the subscribe button and check the community tab after Raw and SmackDown every week, and I'll post something that'll say something like, hey, hot takes, let me get them, and you can post them there, and I'll try to get as many of those in the video as I can. Now, without further ado, let's get into these hot takes. The Cody and Roman segment was the best produced and executed segment of the Triple H era. Okay, all right, so if we're gonna go there, I will have to 100% agree with you if we're talking about segments within this type of guideline. It has to be outside of the ring, it has to be outside of the arena, and it has to be shot in a cinematic form. And if we're talking about that, then for sure I would have to agree with you 100%, because the only thing that we have to compete with this type of segment in those guidelines is the trailer for WrestleMania 40, which seemingly to be a teaser trailer for like Fast and Furious 50 or something like that, where we had Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins and The Rock and Roman Reigns, which I think they did a fantastic job in that trailer. It was amazing. It got me more hyped for WrestleMania 40 than I already was. But in that context, yeah, for sure. But if we're talking about any segment in general, it's talking about production, we gotta talk about WrestleMania 40 Night 2 at the end of that, or we gotta talk about the debut of the Wyatt Six, or when The Rock was in Chicago and he was destroying Cody Rhodes backstage next to his RV. It was so many other ones we could talk about, but even in that point, if you still pick this as the best one, I definitely wouldn't be mad at you. But I absolutely love this segment at the end of the day. And also, I heard from rumors that Paul Heyman had a strong hand in producing this thing between Roman and Cody at the Georgia Tech football field. And if that is, that just goated the GOAT even more. I am really impressed by that. But thank you for your submission. I don't think SmackDown should be 3 hours. However, I do think it needs more time than just 2. Maybe 2 hours and 30 minutes, maybe 2 hours and 15 minutes. This would allow talents to be shown on TV more often and allow more storylines to have a chance to grow and develop. Like this week, I don't think we saw Austin and Grayson, and if they did, they probably didn't post it on YouTube. Keep up the great work, man. Thank you. I appreciate that so much. And yeah, we did not see Grayson and Austin at all this week. And also, we didn't get that dumpster match between Michin and Chelsea Green, probably because of the time issue that we have on SmackDown. Now, my question for you is, when you say that you want it to be 2 hours and a half or 2 hours and 15, are you talking about the show itself, or you're talking about the block that's allotted by USA? Because technically, if SmackDown, or when it does go to 3 hours, because of advertisements and commercials, SmackDown then would technically be 2.5 to 2 hours and 15 minutes because of that. But if you're talking about the block that's allowed, I don't think USA would give them 2 hours and 15 minutes. I don't think they've ever had a 15-minute show, but the best case scenario in what you want, they'll probably get 2 hours and a half, because they do have shows on USA that last for 30 minutes. But we are talking about Endeavor. We are talking about TKO. They want to maximize their profits. So to them, it's probably like, hey, either we're going to get that full hour like we did for Raw, or we're going to keep it down to 2. There is no halfway, because they want all that ad revenue. But the idea of stretching the time on a SmackDown, I agree with in general, because of what you said, giving talents more opportunities to be on TV, giving storylines more time to develop. And I think stretching out SmackDown would be healthy. I just kind of worry about the pricing for people going to the live shows, and also for people who kind of don't have the time to really watch it on TV. And then we have it where we have rumors saying that after SmackDown is over on Saturday, they will have it on Netflix to watch the entire episode. So that's a whole conversation that I had in a previous video, but thank you for your submission. Let's move on. Unpopular opinion: US title match was Andrade selling his butt off to try to make LA Knight look good. And that's been mostly every LA Knight match for a good while. I don't even see the same character in the ring that I see during a promo. Oh. So we're gonna have this conversation, guys, huh? We gotta have this conversation, and people not gonna like it. People not gonna like it. Now, let me do the whole no disrespect thing first and foremost. You guys know I have a t-shirt of LA Knight in the closet. I am a huge fan of LA Knight, and I don't think he's as bad in the ring as people make it out to be. Also, we already know Andrade is really, really good in the ring. But here's the thing. In LA Knight's defense, and in the match defense, I love the match. I thought it was a really good match. But when someone is facing a champion, they kind of have to oversell it to make it seem like there's a balance. We all know that Andrade Cien Almas, although LA Knight is pretty decent in the ring, we all know that Andrade Cien Almas is far superior than he is in the ring. And the only way they can balance it out to make it make sense is for Andrade to sell a ton of the moves that LA Knight does. And this isn't new. This has been going on in the history of wrestling when it comes to people who are champions that they want to protect and they're going against somebody who is way better than they are in the ring. They have to do the whole overselling thing. You don't have to go as far as what Shawn Michaels did against Hulk Hogan back in the day, but that's just what they have to do. They have to balance it out to make it feel like an even match, because even when I was watching this match, although I said I did love the match, I'm just like, part in the corner of my mind was like, Andrade losing to LA Knight just isn't believable. But then I have to, kind of bring myself back and remember, this is wrestling. They have to tell a story to make it make sense for LA Knight to win clean against Andrade, although we all know that Andrade is far better than LA Knight in the ring. So I get where you're coming from. I understand that, this has always been a thing for LA Knight. His promo skills have always been far superior than his in-ring ability. And that hasn't been anything, I think most people think that anyway, but a lot of people are kind of afraid to say it because of the backlash that may come out, or some people just don't want to disrespect him, like some people just don't want to say anything negative about him. But overall, even in saying that to me, LA Knight still is decent in the ring. Andrade, he just was in the ring with somebody who is really, really good in my personal opinion. But yeah, I get where you're coming from. I understand, and I don't have a problem with what you said, but just don't repeat it around LA Knight fans. All right, have a good day. Andrade needs new theme music ASAP. It hinders his ability to fully get over with the crowd. What? There's no way you believe that. There's no way. Okay, maybe you do, but I will say this. I will have to fully disagree with this 100,000%. I mean, for one, I like Andrade's theme song. I think it's dope. It's very low key, but it's enough bounce in it for you to, have something to work out to in the gym. I actually do that with that theme song. But I love the fact that they gave him something a little bit different as opposed to what they used to do by giving every Mexican wrestler a theme song that sounds like the background theme for, I don't know, the Gerudo Valley and Zelda Ocarina of Time, or something that sounds like Enrique Iglesias produced it, which is fine. I get that they want to represent their culture, but there, sometimes it's refreshing to see some wrestlers that are Mexican or Hispanic to have a theme song that isn't always that, but I like his theme song right now. And as far as saying that it hinders his ability to get over with the crowd, I don't think it has anything to do with anything. Now, a great theme song does help in a sense for people to get over, more so with hand gestures. I mean, you see what it's doing for Jey Uso, so many other people, but there's people who have great theme songs that does not help them get over with the crowd. I mean, look at Solo Sikoa, one of my favorite theme songs right now in WWE. It does not help because of how people feel about him on the mic and in the ring. But what they're doing right now with Andrade, I think that's more than enough to slowly get him over with the crowd. He had a great match against LA Knight. He had the great match against Carmelo Hayes. And maybe as he continue to have this series with Carmelo, people will start to follow him down to the Speed Championship, the tournaments that they have down there. So I think that's the best point of where they can have people more interested in him. Kind of like what they did with, let's say like Ricochet. Ricochet has had different theme songs that were amazing, that were really good, but people were more in tune with his in-ring ability as opposed to that. Baron Corbin, he's another person who isn't fully over with the crowd, but he's always had a fantastic theme song. He is undefeated as far as back-to-back great theme songs, but that didn't do anything as far as him going over with the crowd as other wrestlers are. And I'm a fan of Baron Corbin too. I've always rocked with him since he was the Lone Wolf, but that's my answer to that. But yeah, that's a very interesting take to say the least. Roman losing at WrestleMania 40 has done so much more for him as a character rather than winning and breaking a third place record nobody cares about. Wow, nobody cared about that record? I mean, I guess Roman cared and WWE cared, but I agree with you. To your point, WWE does have a knack of taking things that a lot of people typically don't care about and making it feel a lot more important than what it actually is. And that's their job. They're supposed to do that. I have no problem with it. They're supposed to, as a business, make things that they accomplish, whether small or big, or whether it's something a wrestler did small or big, make it feel like a big deal to make their company look that much more bigger. So I don't have a problem with it. But for instance, like we'll get like on a PLE, we get this every time. Somebody will come out and be like, hey, this is the first time on a Saturday night when there's a 40% precipitation and 50% humidity where 20,000 people in the ring are wearing right shoestrings in the history of pro wrestling in WWE. Let's give a hand clap for that. that, and then everybody goes crazy, and then 5 minutes later, nobody cares about the statistics, let alone nobody remembers it. But again, that's what they have to do. Now, in regards to what you said about Roman Reigns losing at WrestleMania 40 and that being great for his character, I agree with you. Because after beating Cody Rhodes twice, if he would have won at WrestleMania 40, there was nothing left for Roman Reigns to do at that point. I mean, he pretty much beat everybody on the roster, excluding a couple people like Gunther and some other people. But I think them crossing paths at that time, him and Gunther, would have been a terrible idea, because the point is to build up Gunther to be who he is now and even more. So if they ever did have a match in the future, then Gunther would already have an established reign as a world champion before he crossed paths with Roman, and him facing Roman would have been a guaranteed loss. So you don't want to do that to Gunther that early. And also, to see Roman Reigns beat Cody twice, no one will be invested in this feud anymore. It's like, then who on SmackDown would be able to beat Roman Reigns? There was no one there that would have been convincingly would have even made any sense to beat Roman Reigns at that point. So yeah, having him lose made sense, and for him to be at this point where he's continuing this character of being insecure, because he was insecure as a tribal chief. Because anything that went wrong or looked like he was losing somebody, you saw how he reacted to it. And they continued that character up until now, where he's still insecure, but now he's this person who's chasing after, he's scratching and clawing, trying to get back what he had. And I think that's a fantastic story for him, especially with him being you know, kind of a pseudo babyface, or a tweener, if you want to call him that. And the thing is, you know, with that whole segment between him and Cody Rhodes, I'm glad they did it, because it showed and reminded us that both of these guys on the mic talking to each other is pure gold. And I think it probably reinvigorated some people's interest in what they're going to do with these two in the future. Even if those were tired of seeing these two go against each other, at least it's added a little bit more fuel and add a little bit more life to what they're trying to do right now. But anyway, thank you for your submission. Sorry for being so long with it. Let's move on to the next one. Apollo defeating Gio will only add to Gio's character. And plus, who can complain that Apollo got a win? Also, where's Shinsuke and Tegan? Good question. Now, the first thing I would say, is it just me, or does Gio either looks like when you go to create a wrestler and you hit random, that's what your character would look like, or he looks like a wrestling pit bull? I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but I agree. There's nothing to complain about as far as Apollo getting a win. That added to Gio's character, and we saw what happened. He turned heel, went crazy on him, and it gave both of these gentlemen something to do and gave them some longevity as far as being on the TV screen. So I don't know who's complaining about that happening, but I would like to know what they're upset about in that situation. Now, as far as Shinsuke, he hasn't been on TV in a long time. He came back, got the Hostess chocolate cupcake outfit, and then all of a sudden he disappeared. But according to a lot of wrestling databases, he's been doing a lot of live matches, which personally for me, I think that Shinsuke really don't care about being on TV like that. I think it really doesn't matter to him as long as he wrestles and gets to do what he loves. I think he's just pretty happy in doing that. Now, as far as Tegan Knox, I don't know where she's been, because she hasn't wrestled since I think in like July, and then she's been gone. So my guess would be, hopefully this isn't the case, that maybe she's injured, because I know she's very injury prone, especially when it comes to like the ACL and things like that. But maybe they just have her off of TV, because she's still on the SmackDown roster. So it kind of makes you wonder what they're doing with her. And speaking of that, her last match was against Blair Davenport. So what are they doing with Blair Davenport? So that's so many questions there. But again, when SmackDown goes to 3 hours, maybe that'll answer all of these questions that people have of where's this wrestler and what's this wrestler doing and why are they wasting their talent. Maybe we'll see more of those people on TV, and that'll be great to see. 3 hour SmackDown is going to be insane in the membrane. 1 hour of Bloodline segments on the road to WrestleMania. Oof. Okay, we'll talk about that. The women's division finally gets more TV time, more opportunities for new SmackDown wrestlers to get on TV. SmackDown is going to be 3 hours in January is a great decision. I had to put that Tony the Tiger in there. Okay, so let's talk about, you know, I agree with majority of what you're saying here as far as why it's a good idea to be 3 hours, but the 1 hour Bloodline segment on the road to WrestleMania, it seems like a whole lot, man. That seems like 1 hour of a segment is a long time. Sometimes 30 minutes, sometimes even 15 minutes, depending on what story is being told, is a long time to watch an entire segment. So if they, an hour is that's a lot, bro. Like if they get like 10, maybe 15 minutes on a weekly basis, maybe shift up a little bit more towards 20 here and there, I'm completely fine with that. But I can't deal with an entire hour of the Bloodline, because now you're gonna, when you do an hour, how do you develop a storyline that lasts an entire hour every show without speeding to the front of it? Like, there's no way. You're gonna have to slow burn it, and then those segments are gonna feel like it's dragged out, and you're gonna notice it because they want it to last that long. But I do agree with getting a Bloodline segment every week leading up to WrestleMania, maybe here and there, depending on what story's being told and who they're talking about. Now, as far as the women's division getting more TV time, I agree with that. You guys know me. I'm an advocate for a women's mid-card title if they do it right. Let's get those women in there, and also more opportunities for new SmackDown wrestlers to get on TV. And I'm all for that. I'm all for wrestlers getting time on TV to show how much they're worth, to get a better contract, to make more money, to get to live out their dream and have an opportunity to do what they love. I'm all for that. So, and also with the 1 hour thing, given that SmackDown will probably be 2 hours and 15, 2 hours and 30 minutes at most, given advertisements and commercials. So now with the 1 hour Bloodline segment, you're knocking it down to an hour and a half. And that's a lot more than most people get now, but still, that's a long time to have a segment. But thank you again for your submission. I appreciate it. At the end of the year, both the Lucha Bros and Motor City Machine Guns will be tag team champions on Raw and SmackDown, respectfully. I like that respectfully part at the end. That's pretty dope. But honestly, I feel like this. I wouldn't be surprised if this happened, but I know for sure whoever goes to Raw will get those tag team championships before the end of this year. Now, for the person going to SmackDown, I think whatever that team is, they're probably going to get it at the beginning of next year, or I wouldn't be surprised if it happened at WrestleMania, because I think either DIY or the Street Profits are going to take it off of the Bloodline 2.0, and then the DIY and the Street Profits are going to have a feud. That all of that is probably going to lead all the way to the beginning of next year, and then we'll have whatever that tag team is that get put up to SmackDown. They will get those tag team championships either maybe at Royal Rumble or maybe at some big PLE around that time, but I think that's when it's going to happen for them. Now, as far as the Lucha Bros, I've seen some conflicting reports saying that they didn't fully sign to WWE yet, so that kind of adds a little bit of a delay when they're really going to start. So wherever they goes, that can change the date of when they'll possibly take the titles off of them. But I don't think they should immediately come in and just take the title off of someone. I think we should watch them just work it, and then have fans who are not familiar with them get more familiar with them. And then once they get to a high of where they get pops from the crowd, then move them in a direction of taking the title off of whatever team that has the title on the brand that they're on. But again, thank you for your submission. Ricky and Vinci would make an amazing tag team. Boy, y'all really love Ricky. I mean, Ricky plus anybody will be phenomenal. I don't know where he was. I wonder why he wasn't on SmackDown, but we need more Ricky. Can you imagine if Ricky joined Pretty Deadly and they called the group Pretty Ricky? That would be crazy. But anyways, thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. Owen should turn on Cody at Bad Blood, leading to Roman getting pinned and being left with absolutely nothing as he tries to scramble the OG Bloodline members back to gain back his power he lost. So is he gonna try to gain back the power in the PLE? I don't think we got enough time for that, but I do love this angle. But there's some things that I will change. I would rather it not happen, with Roman being pinned because of what Kevin Owens did to Cody Rhodes, because you got to remember, if Kevin Owens does that, not only does it affect Cody Rhodes, but it affects Roman Reigns. So now they got to write a story to where Roman Reigns is trying to kill Kevin Owens, and you got this whole thing building up into this civil war between the Bloodline members. So how do we write that story within that story leading up to Survivor Series? I think it's just too many moving parts, and that could possibly become a problem. But what they really could do is have it where Roman Reigns tries to hit somebody in the ring, maybe it's Solo or maybe it's a Jacob Fatu with the Superman punch, accidentally hits Cody Rhodes. Then we wonder after the fact, did Roman do that on purpose? If he did it on accident, does he regret it? That could be a different storyline for a different time. And have the Bloodline 2.0 get involved as they always do and have Roman get pinned, because that'll be very poetic. Because remember, Roman in his title reign, most of, if not all, his matches have involved outside interference, and so for him to be on the receiving end of it, that'll be very, very poetic in that situation. Now, as far as Kevin Owens, I think he should turn on Cody Rhodes, but what they should do is have the Bloodline 2.0 pretty much attack Roman and Cody after, during the match or at the end of the match, and just have them being destroyed, and then have Kevin Owens come down and want to help them, but have him remember, I remember what happened the last times I tried to help Cody Rhodes against this whole situation, and I remember what happened to me, and I remember what happened to Randy Orton, and this is a consequence of Cody Rhodes deciding to side with somebody like Roman Reigns, someone that he's had a problem with for years. So you see Kevin Owens come down, change his mind, turn around, and walk back up the ramp. And then that can explore the storyline between him and Cody, where he can finally explain what he tried to say on SmackDown Friday, why he feels the way he feels. And I think it'll be very interesting if they lead it up into a match between Cody and Kevin at Survivor Series for that title, where Kevin Owens is a heel, the prize fighter, versus Cody Rhodes in probably a no-holds-barred match. I think that would be a great match to see. And if they want to build it even more interesting, leading up to Survivor Series, you can have Kevin Owens tell Nick Aldis, you know what? Give me a couple matches, 2 or 3 matches. If I beat all 3 of those people, I get the opportunity to face Cody Rhodes. So now he feels like that he wasn't given a pity match like he was before, but this time around, he got enough of a winning streak to earn this opportunity to face Cody Rhodes. And I think the storyline there can expand out to there, and it could be very, very interesting. But again, thank you for your idea. I just kind of, sorry if I just retconned your whole idea, but you know, I appreciate that. But either way, I think it will be good for Kevin Owens to turn at Bad Blood. All right, guys, that's going to be it for my hot takes for this week. Again, if you want to be a part of the next video, subscribe, check out the community tab after Raw and SmackDown, and I apologize to the hot takes that I didn't get to. I will try to respond to those in the community tab. Thank you guys so much for your submissions. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Salute, peace, have a great day.